Hi, welcome back to True Story. This is John Gibson. Today with us, we have Hollydrayton. Holly is a dreamer, a doer, the owner of Better Body Fitness, a wonderful human being. Holly, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Completely my pleasure. So I definitely know where I want to start this conversation, and there's so much to cover, but I think a good place to start is here. Um, you are a super successful woman in the fitness industry. Obviously, the owner of Better Body Fitness. You have been one of the most successful personal trainers, if not the most I've ever met in my entire time in this industry. You've been a model. You've done it all. With that, can you share kind of your unique perspective of having, had all these experiences, achieved all these things as a woman in this, almost completely male dominated space?
Well, so I feel like it's really difficult for a woman to break into this and actually show something besides her looks
Yeah.
and actually really have to stand out. I will say the most exciting thing to me about fitness right now is that there are so many, I'm going to call myself one too, a little bit of nerds.
Okay.
Do you remember back in the day where there used to be like all of the fitness people or personal trainers would be kind of like meatheadish.
Oh yeah. Oh, for sure. I
Now,
started there. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, why did you actually get into personal training, John?
I mean, mostly to meet, I'll say people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sex, right?
Yeah, sure.
So I think that it's just amazing where fitness is going with all
Hmm.
of the different studies that are going on, all the different technologies that are coming out. Some of the stuff that
Hmm.
they can do for sports right now is just amazing. All the little different
Hmm.
tools and stuff. But I would say something that has made me just be really resilient as far as just being a woman is just really knowing my worth, knowing what I stand for, just knowing what I will do, what I won't do. And then, of course, my ultimate goal, people ask me, why are you different? And it's just because I get people results. Um,
Yes.
that doesn't necessarily mean just by the outside, do they look good? But when a client leaves me, I want them to feel more confident than they've ever felt in their entire life.
Mhm.
For them to have just a new perspective, really on just taking care of themselves.
Mm.
So,
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like that's the goal. Hopefully that's what, in my opinion, at least, a good trainer is hoping to achieve, right? Like you want to change someone's life, you
yeah,
know?
well, that's what we always say, right?
Right. Yeah.
What did you do today? Just changing lives. That's what
That's
we.
it. Yeah. And I mean, if that's and to me, that is the sign of somebody, to me, like that's a tenet. And one of the good signs I'll say of a really
Yep.
good trainer. Because if it's just about like, hey, lose 10 pounds, I'll get you 10 pounds, you're missing a whole wealth of other things here, you know?
Yeah, and you said about being a woman. So, I think the thing that makes me a really good personal trainer
Mm-hmm.
and coach and a corrective trainer, all of those good things
Mm-hmm.
have to be my own experiences, things that I've gone through in my
Mm-hmm.
life, struggling with,
Mm-hmm.
so many of my own demons,
Mm-hmm.
struggling with, not feeling like you can match up to somebody else because you see, I didn't grow up in the social media like generation to where you just
Mm-hmm.
live in front of the camera and you know
Mm-hmm.
all your angles, all that good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It was more so about how can I help transform, X person into just being the best version of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But now you had to actually be the front, your
Shifted.
business. You are
Mm-hmm.
your brand. And so it was really hard, just to get that self-confidence,
Mm-hmm.
of where to even start. You'll find yourself procrastinating and, oh, I'll do those videos later, or I'll do this part, just because you're doubting yourself. And
Sure.
that's where, mindful, really being careful about what
Mm-hmm.
you say to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
when you're alone.
Yeah, of course.
And when you actually start having, doubts about yourself, go back through and actually know what your strengths and your weaknesses are. I collaborated a lot with other people. That made, I wanted people to see that I'm not there to compete against you.
Yeah,
We
right.
can work with one another. There's so many people to go around,
Mm-hmm.
plenty for all of us.
Yeah, of
And
course.
so when you specialize in stay in your lane is what I call it. Don't try to be the fix all, for
Right.
every client. So when someone comes to me and asks me, hey, can you help me with XYZ? I think I'm at that age to where I don't have to just take on any client anymore. I want to make sure it's a good fit,
Right.
for me and for them,
Right.
that I'm going to be able to help them. And if I can't help them, then I'm going to pass them on, to someone else. And I think that helping other trainers, helping other, just other entrepreneurs,
Right.
get ahead.
Right.
I think if you can give like that, then when you're in need, then those doors are going to open up for you.
Of course. You touched on two things that I think are really important. I'll say one thing quickly. I have personally seen you do that. I have seen you say, this client or this individual would be a great match for this trainer. And I've literally seen you hand business over because it was the best interest of those two individuals. So I've seen that. So I want to attest to that. And secondary to that, I really do appreciate that you touched on the perspective of things changed. And it used to be about, the sole focus was kind of results driven. And then you kind of built a reputation upon like, look what I've done for my clients. And then it became about branding and social media and more about what you represent. And that really, it changed the perception, I think, to a lot of people of personal trainers, because nowadays there's people that look wonderful because they're models, right?
Right.
And they're great marketers. And they exist in this space of personal training and fitness, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're experts or they're able to stay in a lane, right?
Right.
And master it. So I really appreciate that you touched on that a lot.
I actually really do think that that's something that I do really well. And it's that I know where I'm strong, and I know where I can help people. And if you keep that front in mind of really knowing it's not about making money, because the money will come, it's just like with anything that will come.
Right.
It's really about if you were able to get up every day and do what you love to do and not get paid for it. Would this be something that you're so passionate about that will, drive you to get up at 2:30 in the morning,
right,
every single day?
Yes.
Right. And excuse me, and then not leave until late at night.
Sure.
I'm at my clients' access, and a lot of my business coaches tell, that's way too much. You're too focused on, being the best personal trainer instead of, growing your business. And that's something that I butt heads with a lot of my coaches about, and it's just because I do want my clients to see results, and I want them, I just want to over deliver always,
of course,
on my product.
Of course.
So, and and when you say that just means the client actually knowing why they're there,
right.
So it's not just about being this beautiful little package on the outside, really digging in, figuring out who they are, and setting goals. That's something that so many people have no earthly idea where they're going. Something I heard in one of your videos, that you write your notes and stuff in different places. I've got them on my mirrors, my car. One of my trainers tells me all the time that I'm the affirmation queen, and I actually all kinds of affirmations she believed she could, so she did. And it's just so that I can see that every day, so I can believe in myself, so that I can do my job better.
Exactly.
Plus, I had made all kinds of men really rich. I was going to make myself some money.
Yeah, it was about time, right? Yeah. Yeah, I understand. That so much of that resonated with me. I feel like, and you're so inspiring, Holly, to me in so many ways. But I want to go backwards a little bit and kind of learn a little bit more about the why. And what I mean is, you're obviously so fueled by passion. You get up at 2:30. I've worked with you previously, so I know I have a very firsthand perspective, but not everybody has that inside view. So, but everything you're saying is true. And I kind of want to go backwards a little bit and know about like what attracted you personally to this industry, and like how did that passion manifest? Like what was like, this is my calling. Like how did that happen? How did you know?
Well, I would say that how I actually got into it, obviously it's not obvious, but I was a college athlete, and just the body amazed me. Like it was something that I changed my degree several times when I was in college, and it was, I love my parents dearly, but they wanted me to be safe. And I'm so, when you say stay inside of your box, I don't even have a box. There's never been a box for me. I'm so, everywhere. But, it's really just about, the body just amazed me so much. And that was easy to me. It became so easy to me, where other things that I was kind of pushed into, here, be a teacher, which are great. My husband, my entire family, they're all teachers, and they do an amazing job. But and I am a teacher, just in a different kind of way than standing in the classroom. Mine just happens to be in the front of a big gym. But it was just about, it was something that fascinated me, just how it worked. And then, of course, I like taking care of myself. Being an athlete, you're constantly having to, prepare for the next game. And sometimes that means injuries. And so that's really something that happened big early in my career. I've had 6 total reconstructions on my right knee. And my other knee is blown also. So it was just fascinating for me to actually see, what can I do with the body, even though I have some injuries going on. So that was, the reason why I actually got into the fitness side of it. I will never forget my first training job out of college. I remember being the only female that this guy team hired, and they literally threw paper wads at my head. Like trying to get me to memorize like the script. They're like, that's wrong. And I made my poor husband sit and go over, everything with me until I figured it all out. And then my first client that I saw, the guy actually passed out on me, and I was like, I'm done.
Oh no.
But he actually didn't tell me though that he only had eaten like 1 chicken nugget that day. So that was, but that was a little bit scary, but I jumped right back in with it, and just it all went from there. Just like started out, really saw that I made an impact on people's lives, and it was so enjoyable. Up at 5:00 in the morning was not, a terrible thing. And plus, I was like 24 years old at that time, making really good money. So it was doing something I wanted to do. I almost felt like I didn't even have a job.
Amazing.
So the box gym was my first kind of area. And then I was like, this is not about the people in that area. For me, necessarily
I understand.
The clients. And so I just applied for a position, being a manager and a personal trainer. And that position kind of led into within a couple of months of, hey, would you like to become partner? And then we grew a really big franchise, a multi-million-dollar business in Nashville, Tennessee, and you were part of that. So
it's a very small part. It was very small,
but it was that was the first part of it. But we were in an area where personal training was very, Nashville, Brentwood area was very affluent area. So when I left that situation after 8 years and had to start over in my late 30s, it was like, oh crap, I literally have to start all over again. And then you go through all those emotions of, can I compete? Can I do this again? I've already built a name for myself, in one area. And, then looking back at it, I remember feeling like where I lived, that I was outside of being my children's mom and mommy's wife, and
interesting,
no identity, for myself. And so I really had to start over. So I played the blame game, had massive anxiety about,
Right.
starting all over again. But
Yeah.
I decided, are you going to go do this for somebody else, or are you going to actually do this for yourself? And so jumped straight in and decided to open up my own business, spent all the money in my savings account, um, ready to open up. And then I remember teaching kickboxing class and blew out my other knee. So that sent me down a little bit more of that little depression thing. It seemed like, I was kind of getting in my own way. And at that point, I still had not, call it, that helped me go into my little growth phase. That's where stuff really started to happen. When you're alone and you're by yourself, doing this whole big thing, it's scary.
Yes.
I had, run the whole operations, but I still had not had any clue of what it meant to actually have your money on the line. Your family is the one that you're missing all the games, and you're coming home late at night. And so you better know what you're doing. And if not, and I don't believe in the whole fake it till you make it thing. I think, and that means late night and, figuring stuff out. But in the meantime of that, I started, self-medicating and, probably not eating necessarily the way that, both of us know that you should. Life happens is what I like.
Of course.
I started drinking way too much. Like I said, my knees were blown. So I go get an MRI, and one of the physicians tells me, why don't you just not do this anymore? I think you need to choose another career. And I swear if anyone knows me, they would say that, oh, you say those things to me, those are like little fighting words as far as you can't do something. Pack it up and call it a day. And I was like, oh, that's awesome.
That's all you had to hear.
All of your time, into this, and you want me just to stop. And so that's when I went into, trying to figure out, more holistic ways as far as like healing myself. That's when I started to become a corrective personal trainer and really go towards injuries and figure out gut health and rehabbing my own knee back instead of having surgery. And that was when I decided, after I learned everything that I had gone through, that I was going to help other kids, athletes, not have to go through the same type of thing.
Right.
So, there's lots of bad coaches out there that, you're going to lay your body on the line for them.
Oh, sure.
Really train, well, first of all, they don't really know what they're doing. I mean, that's not their specialty,
right.
Strength training. And so a lot of the girls would come to me with, blown knees, rotator cuff issues,
right,
all these things. And so helping put people back together again, that's also been, an amazing, just added, every little area that I've had to go through has helped me just be better at, my job. And so really having to do some self-reflecting, stop blaming, stop feeling like a victim, stop, me being in control and taking my power back, and just saying, I call it, I had to start really getting into my messy action plan, because that's kind of where I was. My life was kind of a mess. I was still trying to make it seem like it was all, good, but it was hard. It was really hard, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. It can pull you down. And so I decided at that point that I would never drink again. After that was not the legacy that I wanted to leave. I didn't want my children to see me like that anymore. I didn't want to feel like a victim anymore. And so just, from that, and I don't really suggest that people necessarily just stop drinking cold turkey like I did. Not everybody's built like that. But when I set my mind to doing something, I was just like, I'm done.
Sure. I understand.
And so that's kind of where, it kind of led into just all, it's been lots of ups and downs. But I'm so thankful and grateful to have gone through. That does not mean it was easy.
Of course.
To go through the situation, but it helped me so much to see, what I could actually do when I put my mind to it. Really go after it and decide hard things. It's almost like all these other things that had happened prior to that were just kind of like I'm getting you ready. I'm getting you ready for the fire. And then it's all about, how do you handle, the situation? Anybody can handle the situation when everything's going your way.
Right.
But when things are, you're getting pounded, every, corner you turn, you think that you're having a great month or a great couple of months. I had situations where my gym flooded.
Right.
Everything was going great. We were, about 3 years into business, and my gym started flooding a little bit, and I had a little issues with my landlord. It was one thing after another, but it was like every negative thing that would happen, though, if I kept my attitude right and just didn't overreact about the situation and actually logically thought through, what's my next move going to be? What's my next plan? Then things ended up working out, and it always works out for the best anyway. You never feel like that when you're going through.
I know. Isn't it amazing? You touched on some awesome things there. I think two of them that really resonated with me were this one. And I love that you said this, because it's very infrequently I get to hear it from a woman. So I just was like, oh, she feels me. As an athlete, I'll say, the vulnerability in being injured, sometimes all we have, or all we know we can do, is go lift that thing or move that thing or run or whatever that is. But we know in our heart we could do that. We're so nervous about public speaking or maybe making that phone call, these silly things, but we know we could do that.
Right. And everything is wiped out from underneath you.
And when that's taken away, it's a self-check, and there's a vulnerability. And you said the word alone, and I go, whew, it gave me chills, because you feel I've been there, and I have felt so alone in those moments. And it's about learning. That's when you learn what you're made of. And it's like, okay, it's like, if this were an injury, how do I rehab to get better? If this is an emotional setback, how do I turn this into a positive? How do I learn from these things? And you said all of that in your message. It was amazing. Really, really inspiring. How do you find, it sounds like you contrive it. It sounds like you just like make it an active effort every day, but how do you find that positivity? Like, where are you finding that to inspire yourself?
I think the big part of it is guarding your mind, really guarding your mind, not letting the craziness of the outside world influence you or distract you. And so you really have to guard your mind with who you surround yourself with. The saying of, your parents would tell you, you are who you hang around.
Sure.
I love what one of my business coaches tells me. If you look around at your 5 best friends and you see who you surround yourself with, are you the best thing in the room, or is there more could you be pushing yourself more by the people that you're surrounding yourself with? And it's not that you, have to be, any type of way as far as like breaking up with your friends.
No, right.
It's just about growth. About knowing that you may not have the same things in common anymore. I know when I stopped drinking, I did not have any of those friends that I thought were my friends, that, probably were, what feels like when you're having fun is, people laughing with you, but it's probably more so you're probably the comedy of what they're laughing at when you're.
I've been there.
You're a train wreck, if you know what I mean. So, it's about really guarding your mind. It's about who you hang around with, who you, what you listen to. I don't listen to the same music anymore. I don't listen to, I don't watch TV. It's always, maybe I need to have a little more balance with it, but I think that I'm at such a vulnerable place right now, with where I'm at, that
trust your gut.
It's just about, I know where I want to go, probably more than a person should. I mean, I've got it. I know what I want, and I'm where I'm going. We'll see.
Yeah.
And you know, we may take different detours and stuff along the way, but I know where I'm going, and it doesn't matter to me about my age now. It doesn't matter about my setbacks or my limitations or my fears. I really feed off of that and work well under pressure. So, it's about really just protecting your mind.
Sure.
I mean, I think that's like a huge thing right now. We can be influenced so much by what we're listening to, what we're eating,
all these things are influence. Yeah. I feel like I have to just say this though too. If you retired today, Holly, not that I would ever want that or anyone would ever want that, you've already accomplished so much and changed so many lives that, like, even though you know where you're going, and I know we've all yet to be seen, I think you should take a moment
with me every day, John.
Yeah, but look, I've known you for a long time, and it's not like we have a relationship that's had to be nurtured and we've called each other every day. It's never been like that. However, I personally have seen the impact you've had on others, and then that's happened for a decade since. It's continued on since. So you're a master trainer, and that's not just by title. You really are. And I just think, like, your energy, your positivity, and the fact that you're willing to be vulnerable enough to share with us or share with me that, hey, sometimes I was struggling on the outside. It looked like it was all good, but I was worrying about the bad month I had or whatever it is. It's like, you're an example of such success to so many. And it's just so, I think it's so, I appreciate it, but it's important.
I think that, right, we live in a very strange time right now, to where, social media plays a big part in our lives. And so it can be very, are you comparing yourself? Are you comparing your gym? Are you comparing, whatever entrepreneur path that you've taken? You're comparing your success to someone else's success. And I think that's probably where a lot of people mess up. And it's because it's where you are. You've got to be able, when you're talking about, like, what's the best diet? Well, the best diet is going to be the one that you're going to follow.
Right.
If you're not going to follow it, it doesn't really matter if it's the best thing ever. I don't want to personally eat broccoli and chicken, every day. And so I'm not going to do that. So it's the same with, if you're constantly looking and seeing, other people, showing, all this skin, or, there was the age of, what was it, 2013 to 15, that everything was about a butt. And it was so to me to see, a post about a fitness person that would just be like an angle of up somebody's, rear end or something. And that has nothing to do with fitness.
None. But the best is when it's that picture and the caption is like biblical. It's like, what?
Yeah. But or some like well thought out, like, I'm just gazing into the I'm not very good at that.
Yeah.
I don't do all that.
Yeah.
What you see is what you get over here.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, your results always, in particular with your clients, have spoken for themselves. And I think you were very much ahead of the curve. It's funny, you talk about how you've adapted to social media as you learned as you go, but you were very much ahead of the curve, in my opinion, in that you were taking progress pictures. You notated every client, rep, everything that was relevant. You followed up. You had a true consult with every client. Pre, post, during. There was documentation, there was data, there was metrics. I mean, you were the most meticulous person I'd ever met. And the results, when I say speak for themselves, they did, because you would amass, it wasn't just like, hey, here's 10 before and after pictures. It was like, here's Holly's 100 or more, probably. And they were all dramatic. It was like, here's 100 pounds, here's 80 pounds. It was like you were changing lives on such a huge level. You were so ahead of the curve. I had never seen anything like that.
Yeah, but I think that it's about, are we saying the right things to our clients to help motivate them? Are you saying the right things to get them to take make habit changes? Are we saying the right things to get them to look at food and have a relationship with food in a different kind of way? Are we having them look at, working out and strength training in a way that's why you've got to know your why and know where you're going. Because if you listen to a client whenever they come in and you do the, I call it an intro or really a consult, really, back and forth to see if it's a good fit for both of us. But you can actually find out if, where that person is struggling with, and sometimes where they think they're struggling with, if you really listen, then you will find out that that's not where they're struggling at all. And everybody thinks that they're doing their diet perfect. And I've tried everything, and I've tried, this and that and this, but have you really? Have you really? And so then you've got to help show them. I mean, I do something with my clients as far as like making a vision board. And I actually show them, because a lot of people say, okay, well, let's make a vision board. And they give you these great, here, get 5,000 magazines and get this and go on your way. But you really have to, I think that I call this life's work. And it's probably the most challenging thing that I've ever done. Is actually sit back and focus, which it makes me understand exactly why, I was self-medicating with either food or alcohol or, working too much or whatever your thing is.
Yeah.
But it's really about, figuring out where you're going, what is your actual why? What's your game plan? Where are you trying to go? And so many people coming to me and are like, I don't know. I just want to look at it. Can you just make my butt look like so-and-so's? But let's dig a little bit deeper.
Right.
Let's figure out, what's caused you to fail in the past? What's worked for you? What's not worked for you? What did you like? What did you, what did you despise about working out? And so you can help them fall in love with the actual process. And a lot of people say that, but it really is about learning to enjoy the process and actually see, that you are capable of doing anything that you set your mind to. I mean, my son actually asked me, I think it was yesterday, do you have a bucket list? Do you have like, if you finish your bucket list, does that mean that you're dead at that point? And I was like, oh, from the mind of a 10-year-old. No, but I do. I live my bucket list every day.
I love it.
I'm fortunate to have a husband that supports me and a family that supports me in that direction. But it also makes me work like a maniac.
Of course.
One balls to the wall. So.
Well, you've always been that. I feel like your work ethic is unquestionable. I mean, undeniable.
Well, that's what I say. No one's going to outwork me as far as that goes. What I'm willing to put in as far as time goes. And it is also about being smart too about it. You have to be strategic. You don't want to just, work yourself completely in the dirt and not take any time for yourself too. So, I mean, that's a huge thing. And constantly, my library of self-help books has grown exponentially. I mean, it's just something that I find value in. I find it, it's very rewarding. To live your life in a positive way and see the world in a different view versus the whole negative. Or just, with your head in the clouds. Too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Well, there's more intent in being positive because at least for me, it's easier to be darker. It's easier to be negative. It's easier to be harder on myself. No one's as hard on me as me. I say awful things to myself, So when you wake up and you say, today I'm going to be positive, there's intent in that.
Even though.
Purpose. Even though. Yeah, exactly. And I feel like part of that, one of the things I've learned by trying to incorporate that in my daily life too, is I've been way nicer to other people. Just because I've had more empathy. I've been able to say, man, I don't know what they're going through.
And that's just it. You never can judge a book by its cover. We have so many stories from where, where you and I came from as far as our training studio. You never could tell when someone walked in as to you knew if they lived in that area. Do you remember the Raging Bull?
Yes. Yeah.
Who would tell me about his car, the same car every day, or driving from one side of his home to the other in his golf cart. That's how big his home was. But if you looked at him, you would not have been able to tell that he had it like that at all.
Yes.
And so it's like just about, taking people where they are, and you not dumping yourself on your client. Like it's not
Yes.
about you.
Yeah.
This is about
Yeah.
them.
It's
And
so interesting you
it
said
really
that.
doesn't
Yes.
matter what is going on in my life. It does not matter at all. Like I could be, I mean, the storm could be real. I mean, could be really walls closing in. But it's about them.
It's their time.
And when
Yeah.
you keep that, front in mind, and that being, always you trying to over deliver for your client and understand where, because as well as I do, you become therapy.
Yeah. Yeah. You can be.
To, a lot of your clients. So being there, it's just about the relationships and that you're building with your clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree completely. One last thing I think I want to touch on. How can everybody reach you for online coaching, one-on-ones, group fitness? If they want to visit your gym, how can everybody get a hold of you?
Okay, well, so I also have to say that
Yeah.
we were voted. I'm so blessed, honored that only I think we were like at 3 or 4 years in, we were voted favorite personal trainer and best weight loss. In this past year in 2020, we were voted like for best gym, best fitness center, best blah 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 blah, and that was such a blessing for myself and the culture that we've built. It's just sometimes those little awards can
They mean so much. Yeah.
it can help boost you, especially when you're working like crazy hours and trying to get stuff done after 2020, especially.
Yes, I'm sure.
But I'm Holly Brown Drayton on Facebook. I'm Holly Fitness Drayton on Instagram, and it's Better Body Fitness, and we are in Smyrna, Tennessee. And you can also reach me at Holly Fitness Drayton, D as in David, Rayton at gmail.com. If you have any questions or would like more information about what we do.
Awesome. And I'll include all of that in the body of this and everything. But I definitely, for those who are maybe just listening, I want them to be able to have an opportunity to capture that too. And you're so inspiring to me, Holly. I want to do this like every month, maybe. I don't know. I love your perspective. And I know that there's so much more to share just around your expertise. We didn't even really get into the nitty gritty fun stuff. So hopefully.
I have a question for you.
Oh, please.
Like quick question.
Yeah.
So what would you say would be your takeaway of the just like top 5 things that as a trainer that you feel like that you could do to help like build you're already doing that, build the culture that you're building as far as helping other trainers out by doing the podcast and sharing your story. But what are just like 5 things that you help and feel like has made you successful in the personal training industry?
Well, I like that you asked me this, only in that I was taking notes while you were speaking, because I'm telling you, it's not lip service when I say you're inspiring. I don't know that I could do 5 off the top of my head, but I could say I could say this much because you really touched on it, and I was like, I believe that, and I think that it's because you really were such a big mentor to me, probably, that you may have shaped the way my mind thinks. But let me answer your question, okay? I think that as a personal trainer, there's certain things that are really important. I think that it's their time. I think it's important that it's about them always. And I do think that that's rare and that's weird, but that's their time. You're there to help them reach their goal. I think that as a trainer, you have to be a great listener and to identify their goal. And that's what you said. It's what's the end game? What is this about? What's the goal? And it can be 10 pounds for spring break. That's cool. But like, okay, like what's the end game? And then you said it too. How do you get there? Okay, what didn't work? What does work? How can I, as a trainer, motivate you to that goal? Because that's my job, right? How do I positively motivate you to get there?
And get you there safely.
Yeah. I didn't even consider that, right? And as safely as possible, right? Yeah, you got to keep them. They're coming to you as an expert with their bodies. They're giving you their body. So like that is a responsibility that is extremely important. And maybe at 19 and 20, I didn't hold that in the respect I should, because I didn't respect my own body that much. I
Right.
couldn't get hurt. I was
Right.
valuable.
Exactly.
Now at 37, almost 38, and having, you know, 2 spinal fusions, neck, all these different things, serious injuries, I respect the body, and I respect my clients, their limits. I'm constantly concerned with, okay, maybe we need a day off. Like, you have
Right.
to have confidence into
Yeah, I hear
what
so
you can
many
do.
clients would be like, "Oh, so and so killed me today," which I think sometimes my clients may say that I may be a little hard too, but it's I still don't think necessarily that it makes you a great trainer just because you kill your clients.
I
That
agree.
there's different workouts that
Hmm.
can make it fun
I
as far
agree.
as boxing and,
Hmm.
it doesn't have to be the same boring,
I
monotonous thing
agree.
over and over again.
Hmm.
It's about you falling in love with the process.
Absolutely. The
Yep.
process. And I wouldn't have said it that way, but I agree with you. That's what I would have tried to have said. Like,
Yep.
I wish I could have articulated it that
Yep.
well. And I'll say this too. You should be, as a certified personal trainer, an expert enough to be able to change anything on a dime. If someone
That's
says my
exactly right.
elbow's sore, or I slept poorly, or I didn't eat enough, you should have the expertise to say, interchangeable, let's try this.
And so that's the other thing that I would like to add, that I would like to see a little more of personal trainers, because we're at the age of everything being at your access. So like when I was first coming up, as far as training goes, and I'll make this fast because I know
No, you're
we're
great. Yeah.
end of time, is that you may have like a handful of magazines like Muscle and Fitness,
Right.
and I'm trying to like think back to a couple of different ones, but their internet was not around. Everything
Right.
wasn't access, Pinterest wasn't there. You can just look up anything. And so I see a lot of trainers now being lazy because
Mm.
everything is so accessible, but they still don't put the effort in to it. So
Such a good
um,
point.
if I had to tell like this one
Mm.
story, and I have had the opportunity to work with a client who I would say has probably been my most challenging client. He was actually hit it was been a year ago, and it lights my fire, and it's like why I do my job.
Mm.
He came to me, I believe in May. At that point, he had been about 5 months out of surgery. I think he had like 12 surgeries at that point, everything on his body. He actually was hit in a car accident. He got out of his car on the interstate to go check on the other person. And when he did, he got hit by another car,
Oh.
and literally like broke everything in his body. So not only did they think that he was not going to live, but he also had to like learn to walk all over again. And I think when they put him back together, I tell him all the time, I'm like, this is not textbook. I don't know how they put your elbow and stuff back together. He'll show me stuff and try to gross me out all the
Mm-hmm.
time. But we've literally taken this person who was jaws wired shut, neck fused together, looks like a club was in his elbow, like just it was like a science project to me.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that I have him back running and stuff again, and him feeling like back to being that athlete
Mm.
that he was, and just feeling like I feel better than I did on days. It's about, just like I said, enjoying the process. And, we'll be in tears together,
Yes.
when we hit milestones, like when we actually get to the point where when you can't walk or you can't feed yourself, and you are actually to that point to where you have fought through all of these things, feeling guilty about the fact that he had a wife and children at home,
Mm.
that were having to take care of him. It's just amazing the amount of gratitude that this man has now. But I have such a hard time with just keeping him to understanding that we're not trying to go back to old Alan. We're trying to
It's all new you.
every day, yeah, new, but just setting new little goals, like him running, or being
Yeah.
able to do a push up again, or it's just amazing to actually see how the body will heal itself when you're treating it with respect.
Mm-hmm.
And feeding it the right things. I mean, we talked about supplementation, and he didn't come to me wanting this, to turn his dad bod into Buffy the bod. He wanted to be able to walk or run again.
Yeah, right.
And his daughter's a pitcher, and so just to catch her. And so it's like these little milestones. It's just where you don't take anything for granted anymore. And that is like the power of just being so passionate about what I do. I love it. And it's like getting to live your dream every day. And so that makes me excited every day to get up and do it all over again.
It's amazing.
So,
It's amazing. Holly, thank you so much for joining us. This was just so inspiring to me. I'm gonna watch this and read. I hate watching myself. I never do, and I'm gonna watch this 5 times.
I don't want to hear myself talk.
Man, it was so inspiring. Thank you again so much. Again, everybody, please feel welcome to reach out to Holly at all the resources she provided us. This is True Story with Holly Drayton, John Gibson. Thank you.
John, you're a rock star. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, my pleasure. Thank you, Holly.